Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Carried Away Travels. With the start of 2025, I decided it would be a great time to wrap up my adventures from Iceland. So, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing the rest of our adventures from our trip to Iceland last year. Seemed like fitting time with the cold weather outside. And so, this week, we're going to be specifically focusing on things that you can do near Borgarnes. So, Borgarnes is a small town on the western edge of Iceland, and it's about halfway between Reykjavik and the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, which is a really popular spot. So, a lot of times people will go through Borgarnes to go check out the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, but there are a number of really cool things that you can do as day trips from Borgarnes as well that I really think you should check out if you're going to be in that area. Today, I specifically want to mention three activities that you can do that combine natural beauty, geothermic hot springs, and a little bit of Iceland's history for a really well-rounded itinerary, and they're all within an hour of Borgarnes. By the way, if this is your first time here, I'm Carrie and I share helpful travel tips, itineraries, gear recommendations, and more so you can always have the perfect trip. If that sounds like the kind of content you want more of in your feed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to get more videos like this from me in the future. And if you are planning a trip to Iceland, make sure you check out my other videos before you go. We went to Iceland for a full week last spring and we did so much stuff. So I have full day itineraries, I have road trip guides, I have breakdowns of individual popular activities, and a guide for preparing to chase the northern lights. Like all of the highlights, I have information for you, so be sure to check out those videos before you go as well. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into these three fun things to do near Borgarnes, Iceland. By the way, if I butcher any or all of these names, I sincerely apologize. I promise I am doing my best. Please cut me a little bit of slack. The first thing on my list is the Hraunfossar Waterfall, which is about 45 minutes northwest of Borgarnes and was one of my favorite stops during our entire week in Iceland. Hraunfossar is also known as the Lava Falls because it's this beautiful series of cascades that comes directly out of a lava field. It is absolutely breathtaking to see this dark lava rock and then this bright blue water just pouring out of it. It looks like something straight out of a fairy tale because the water is just so bright blue from all of the silica in it. This is the type of water you see at the Blue Lagoon that's so popular, but it's just all these cascades with it and this rushing river going down this little gorge. It is absolutely insane. I could not look away from this when we visited. We were there for about an hour and a half with lunch, and Daniel and I ate as fast as we possibly could so we could go back out and just keep exploring this beautiful area. Now, this is one that I think absolutely everyone should visit because it is so accessible. You just pull up to the parking lot and there is a little walking path and the falls are right there. Within 30 seconds of leaving your car, you can see these waterfalls. So you don't even have to hike to see them. However, there are a couple little extra paths in the area that give you some different perspectives of the falls. If you do want a little bit of extra adventure, you can take those, but you do not have to get the best views. There is a point where the main path splits and you can either go up to the left across a bridge to get kind of a higher overlook of the main lava falls, or you can go to the right and there's another kind of smaller set of waterfalls and cascades. You can go up a little hill and kind of look down. I really recommend you go up that one. It's not paved, so when we went, like, it was wet and a little muddy, but the water rushing through there is just so beautiful, and it literally to me was like the epitome of icy blue, which was just absolutely perfect because it was Iceland. So this whole area is just absolutely gorgeous. And again, 45-minute drive from Borgarnes, 0-minute hike required, and it's just a place you're going to want to spend. Personally, we wanted to spend several hours here just taking it all in because it was so surreal. As I briefly mentioned, there is also a restaurant on site. They have a hot or cold buffet and also an option for like unlimited soup. So we went and got their, I believe it was a sweet potato stew. Very good. You could get unlimited bowls, but like just about any place in Iceland, it's pretty pricey. It's like 20 bucks per person. But you can get a hot meal there. And if you're interested in flying your drone in Iceland, this is a great spot. It is one of the only popular waterfalls where you can fly your drone. So you can see some of this footage that we got here. We absolutely love flying it there. So if you have a drone, this is a great spot for it. And just a quick side note, if you're interested in chasing waterfalls while you're in Iceland and you're either short on time or maybe you don't want to do a lot of hiking, I do have a full video and blog guide on 5 no-hike waterfalls to see in Iceland. This is one of them, but if you're interested in learning about the other 4 as well, definitely check those out. The next stop on the list is Europe's most powerful hot spring, Deildartunguhver. Let's all say that 5 times fast. So this hot spring is located about 30 minutes west of Borgarnes. It's actually about 20 minutes back the opposite direction from Hraunfossar. So if you wanted to, you could go hit the waterfalls and then visit the hot spring on your way back to Borgarnes, and it would pretty much be right along the route. So this isn't really a stop that you'll probably spend a lot of time at unless you go to the nearby spa, which I'll talk about in a second. But this is just an absolutely crazy stop that I feel like you can't miss. Again, this is Europe's most powerful hot spring. It pumps out 180 liters of water per second, which is absolutely insane. And this single hot spring supplies a bunch of nearby towns with like hot water and energy. Like it is just, it's crazy how powerful and intense this single spot is. So when you pull up to the parking lot, you will see this massive hot spring just bubbling out of the ground. I say see. What you may see at first is just a giant wall of steam because it comes out of there like crazy. I'm pretty sure the first thing I noticed was the massive wall of steam that hit us, smelling like boiled eggs. So that would be the downside and one caveat of visiting. You will get wet and you will smell like boiled eggs for a little bit, but it is worth it. It is a very, very fascinating stop just to see this hot spring going. And it also has all this very vibrant moss on it, like this red and green moss. It is very interesting to see that contrasting from the steam and all the water bubbling up. It's just a really cool stop just to feel the power of it, to hear it bubbling. It's really fascinating. There is a fence around it because the water is so hot. You do not want to touch it. You will get very, very, very burnt. But you can feel the heat from like several yards away. That steam is very warm. Anywhere in that area, you're going to be nice and warm, even if it's literally freezing outside. But once you step away, you will be wet. You might get cold a little bit later, but definitely worth it. If you are interested in drawing out your stay in this area a little bit, or maybe just experiencing like a geothermal spa experience, right next to Deildartunguhver, there's a spa right next to Dang it! There's a spa right next to Deildartunguhver called the Krauma Spa, and they use the waters from the hot springs to provide sauna experiences and geothermal baths and stuff at manageable temperatures. So if you are looking for that kind of spa experience and maybe you don't have time to go to the Blue Lagoon, the Secret Lagoon, whatever, or you just want to add this on, that is right there. It's just steps away from this hot spring. That's a very popular thing to do in this area. We did not get to try this ourselves because we were in a group tour, so we were only in this area for like 20 minutes, but that's definitely a way you could spend a very relaxing day over here. The final activity I'd recommend is actually in Borgarnes, and this is the Settlement Center. Now, this is a rather, in my opinion, quirky museum that tells the history of Iceland in 2 very different ways. The first way is through like a traditional Icelandic saga, complete with magic and giants and epic battles and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so you'll get that perspective of storytelling of Iceland's history. And then there's another section that tells it how it actually happened with maps of where the first settlements were and when people came over and like how they connected and communicated. Both sides are very different, but very fascinating. I was honestly not super pumped about this stop when it initially came up because I am more of a nature outdoor person. Like I do like museums and I do like learning the history. But at this point, I was like, please get me out. I really want this landscape is gorgeous. But I did end up really enjoying this. Each section has its own like audio guide. So they have numbered areas throughout each exhibit and you'll have your audio guide. And so with the saga, you're getting like this very engaging story being told as you go from numbered room to numbered room. And then with the history one, it's still engaging, but like it works out very well so you know exactly what's happening. Some of the stuff is interactive, like you can mess around with some of the maps and push buttons and make different things light up, and it just helps kind of bring the full experience together. So it isn't just informative, it is entertaining as well. Especially the saga room is really quirky just to see that kind of like the traditional carvings and the kind of exaggerated depictions of like trolls and the giants and all this. So it is very fun. It is probably one of the most unique museums I've ever been to. And again, it did just give us a very good overview of the history of Iceland as well. And I thought that was cool that that was located right in Borgarnes. And those are the top 3 things I'd recommend you check out in and around Borgarnes. Again, this is more than just a stopover point to go visit the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. There is some very interesting stuff in this area. It is also just a very, very beautiful area. If you just want to take like a scenic drive, you can do that any direction and you will not regret it. Also, I love that this is like one of the biggest towns in this part of Iceland, but there's only like 3,800 people. Like it is just so peaceful and quiet, and it is just absolutely perfect for exploring. So again, whether you're interested in waterfalls or hot springs or you want some history, this is just a really good area to at least have a 1 day stopover. Let me know in the comments which of these sounds the most interesting to you. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those down below as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this from me. And if you would like a written breakdown of this or want inspiration for more Iceland adventures, I would definitely encourage you to check out my written blog at cochranewriting.com. It's the Carried Away Travels blog. I have all sorts of adventures, itineraries, travel gear recommendations there for you, all designed to make your traveling easier. So definitely go check that out. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I'll see you again soon. But until then, I wish you many happy travels.